कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामभित्रयवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Om Sri Sai Ram. My humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Today we have an honorable guest from Prashantilayam to talk to us about Seva, which is the heartbeat of this whole organization. And would like to welcome Dr. Narasimhan with our open heart to welcome you to Houston Center and our children Satya and Ishwar. We would like to welcome Mrs. Narasimhan to this center. It's an honor to host you all for this morning. It's a beautiful morning. Happy New Year, Tamil New Year to every one of you. It's a wonderful occasion to listen to such an eminent Sai devotee about Seva. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the center to come early in the morning to listen to this wonderful talk With that, I would like to invite Dr. Kalpalatha to introduce our speaker of the day today.
Good morning and Sai Ram to everyone. It's my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Narasimhan to our Sai Center and introduce him to give the talk this morning. He holds two important positions. I'm sure you've seen his introduction from the flyer that was distributed, but I'll just summarize few important points. He holds two important positions in Satya Sai Medical Mission. He is the director of the Sri Satya Sai General Hospital, which he has been doing for the past few years. But his real passion is in the mobile hospital. He is the director of the Sri Satya Sai Mobile Hospital Services for the past 18 years. He was handpicked by Swami to start, to develop, to improve and excel door-to-door medical services to the needy villagers who cannot afford the money or the time to take a day off from their busy schedule, which is just to put food on the table, to come to the city to get medical care or buy the medications. So he took this as a challenge, and today it has come to a level that it received in 2014 the CNBC award for the best medical care in India. And since that time, it's been few years. I was there in December for their 18th anniversary celebration, and it has been actually a miracle to watch. When I went to Puttaparthi in 2011 and again in 2014, going from Texas Medical Center, I was impressed with the tertiary medical care, all these open heart surgeries, cabbages, and all these being done with no billing department in the hospital. That was quite impressive. But because I've seen it being delivered very well, but with a big fat bill. All of us know that. So that was impressive in itself. But what impressed me the most was really the mobile hospital service. I don't know of any place in this world where a van goes with 22 specialists every single day, and he will mention what those specialists are, to a village miles away from Puttaparthi, sometimes 20 miles, sometimes 50 miles away from Puttaparthi, month after month to the same place. And actually somebody can go there, get their teeth done, get their eye examined, actually get eyeglasses, and also get their month's supply of diabetes and hypertension medications. I don't know of any other place in this world. Swami knew who he was asking, and this has been delivered, and every time it's being improved. The equipment, very few people know, even in Puttaparthi and even in India in the Sai mission, that the equipment they have in the mobile bus and in the dental van is state of the art. What you will find in an ophthalmologist's office in USA is what they have in the bus. The X-ray that we have in the hospitals is what they have in the bus. The ultrasound you have is in the bus. The EEG machine, which is a specialized neurology equipment, is in the bus. The ultrasound, not only the equipment, but there are specialists that actually look at it and give him a report before the patient reaches to see him. And there are pharmacists, and I don't want to take the bang away from him, but this is what he has developed. And I don't know of any other place, honestly, that delivers this kind of service. And it's all, the work. I mean, he will say it's the team, which it is a team, but who can motivate? Give me one person who can motivate and have a roster of 400 doctors from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, because Swami wanted Telugu speaking doctors so they can communicate with the families and the patients. So he maintains a roster of 400 doctors who are giving their time. These are all very busy doctors, specialists, ophthalmologists, heart specialists, oncologists. Month after month, they're coming for the past so many years. At the 18th anniversary celebration, I saw doctors who are young but who are 80 years old, who have been with him for the past 18 years, and their experience, sharing their experience with the rest of the world, and it was just eye-opening how much they're enjoying it. To make that kind of a team that they're enjoying going month after month, year after year for 18 years. It's not a feel-good project. All of us do a medical camp here and there and feel good. It's more for us than for the patient. They're called feel-good projects. These are not feel-good projects. These are actually sustainable, sustained projects that very few have the guts and oomph to do it. So I think it is a pleasure that he is here. He takes very little time off. And I just wanted to mention something. He doesn't like me mentioning this at all. But he has done this at zero salary for the last so many years. He has never, this is all selfless voluntary service. And even he pays, when he was in Hyderabad, now he lives in Parthi, he pays his own train fare or car fare and his own telephone bill. So there's nothing, this is all entirely voluntary. So we have to thank Mrs. Narasimhan and the kids for actually supporting him, which is, I think family support is very important, and we are very pleased that his daughter and son-in-law are moving in July here. So we'd love to see him in future, coming and visiting us every year. So it's a pleasure. I don't want to stand between you and him. So please, Dr. Narasimhan.
Om Sri Sai Ram. I offer my humble salutations at the lotus feet of our loving Bhagwan. Respected elders, my dear Sai brothers and sisters, a very loving Sai Ram to you all. I thank Bhagwan on the one hand and the organizers on the other for giving me this opportunity to come here today to speak to you all. Actually, this satsang is a pleasant surprise. Her accomplishments are really mind-boggling, and more than that, she is an extraordinary human being, helpful to the core. That's what I would say. And at this point of time, I am also reminded of my dear friend, more a mentor for me at the physical plane, Mr. Rommel, who taught me that wherever you go, especially to talk, one of the two purposes should be met. Either you should learn from them, or you should be able to help them. I pray to Bhagwan that both these purposes are met today. The topic which we have selected for discussion today, interaction, is Sai Seva. As you know, Seva is something which is intensely practical. I am engaged in it by Baba's grace day in and day out. So it always makes me feel easy and comfortable to talk about it. And the Seva obviously has to be Sai Seva, because it is Sai who has given both the ideology and the methodology, the guiding principles for our Seva. He is both the source and the force for all our noble endeavors and activities. I shall try to present this subject in a broad and comprehensive way. Regarding the mobile hospital, I thought at the end we'll have a 10-minute documentary. But Seva in its broadest perspective, I thought I will interact with you. And normally I do it under 3 or 4 headings so that at the end of the day we are clear in our minds and hearts. And we also have a strong take-home message for each one of us, including me. Firstly, why should we do Seva? Why at all we should do Seva? I think this fundamental question we need to address so that we are clear in our minds when we proceed on the road to Seva. Second, what is the principle that underlies the service activities which are done in our Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization? Thirdly, what are the requirements, the requisites for doing Seva in the way Bhagavan wants us to do? And finally, briefly, how do we go about doing the Seva? And what are the types of services, Seva, which are normally done under the organizational banner? Taking the first heading, this is something which I myself do some individual brainstorming as to why should we do Seva? Why at all Seva? Because each one of us, we have our own avocations, our own family, our own works. Seva is a process, as you know, of helping others, reaching out to somebody who is in pain, grief, and suffering. I think this can be looked at from 2 angles. From the human perspective, and from a more deeper plane, a spiritual understanding of the whole exercise of Seva. From the human perspective, I think it doesn't require much of philosophy or rationale or justification to do Seva or to help others. Because if we look at nature, everything is in a process of giving. Charity, giving, seems to be the law of nature, the order of creation. If we look at the plants, they give us shade, they give us their products as vegetables, fruits. If we look at animals, as you know, they give us their flesh, their skin, their milk. So everything in nature seems to be a process of giving. So doing Seva is really by itself not a very special virtuous act, but something which is expected from us because we are nourished and nurtured by society or by the community. So it goes without saying that Seva has to be an integral part of our life. And in this context, I always like to share one incident which happened in our mobile hospital concerning one eminent cardiologist of Hyderabad, Dr. Sampath, who was also my teacher incidentally. As you know, Madam was referring, we have a very big team of doctors who are so happy, ready to come for Seva. That also has a basis. We'll see if I can find a minute to explain why these doctors come for Seva. So Dr. Sampath, we had invited him and he came, and as a matter of routine, if doctors come for the first time especially, I not just formally but sincerely thank them, express my gratitude for having come and helped this noble mission of serving the poor. So when I thanked him, Dr. Sampath replied, "Narasimhan, why are you thanking me?" You know, as a few doctors who are in this audience, you know, he said, we learned our subjects, the first 2-3 years, as Dr. Sridev knows, we learned our subjects using the dead bodies of the poor people. As you know, in Hyderabad, you know, here, it's the unclaimed bodies, you know, these people who don't have anything, which are brought and kept in our anatomy hall. He said, we have learned our subjects using the dead bodies of these poor people. And later, we have learned our subject using the live bodies of these poor people. The 4th and 5th and the final year, what we call the clinicals, we learn. So he said, does it require a Sai Baba to tell us that we have to pay back something to the community, to these poor people by virtue of whom we have learnt our subjects. In fact, it was a very revealing statement made by Dr. Sampath, which I cherish always in my life. Anyway, going to a more deeper plane of understanding regarding Seva, I think when we become serious about it, when we adopt it as our primary aim in life or goal in life, as what we call sadhana, I think a little more deeper understanding is required. To start with, we all know the one sadhana which was very dear to our Bhagavan was Seva, or service, selfless service. Times without number, Swami has said, hands that help are holier than lips that pray. In fact, you'll all notice our Bhagavan has named the very organization itself as Sri Satya Sai Seva organization. We have a number of spiritual organizations, Chinmaya Mission, Ramakrishna Mutt, Divine Life Society, but it is only in our organization that the suffix Seva has been used for it. Thereby, Swami has emphasized the importance of it. But we shall see what exactly is that Seva. And Swami once declared, I myself have come down for doing Seva. As we all know, avatarhood is defined as the descent of divinity for the ascent of humanity. So Swami said, when I have myself come for doing Seva, how happy I'll feel if you join me also in this Seva. And in a way, Seva is the highest form of puja, I always feel, or worship, what we do. Because in puja, we not only in a way imprison ourselves, but even the Lord in a small altar or in a room, and we worship Him. But when we do Seva, we are worshipping what we call the Virat manifestation, the manifestation of God. And Seva, in a way, a thought came once from my heart, it is also the highest form of meditation, I felt. Because meditation, by definition, is the constant flow of thoughts in one direction to the exclusion of all other thoughts. This is the definition of meditation. And as you can see, when we are doing Seva, whole soul, we are engaged in the work in hand, in relieving the pain and suffering of the person whom we are serving. So the self in us has gone out. We have become selfless. That is why only in service, the word selfless service is used. You don't have selfless japa or selfless dhyana. It is only in Seva that selfless service word is used. And in a way, as you all know, Bhagavan was always emphasizing that our lives should be filled up, saturated with human values, Swami used to say. And the highest human value, which Bhagavan always used to say, is love, pure unconditional love, or prema. And Seva is nothing but the other side of the coin. It is love in action. So when we are doing Seva, we are living Bhagavan's human values, which Swami had so importantly and profoundly here told us about it. And there's one more way of looking at it. As you know, the aim of spirituality or sadhana is twofold actually. Firstly, quietening of the mind, the restless mind. In fact, the mind is, as you all know, is equated with the monkey. Swami qualifies it further when he says it's a drunken monkey. You can imagine how. Because in villages, when I am Seva, sometimes when I had free time, I look intently at a monkey. Monkeys are plenty there. Can you believe not a second a monkey will keep quiet? Except perhaps when he sleeps, which also I checked with my village friends, does a monkey sleep at all? So you can imagine how will be a drunken monkey. So Swami equates our mind with that. So quietening this mind is sine qua non. It is the basis of spiritual sadhana. The second is, Swami says, expansion of the heart, expansion of the individualized consciousness in us. So all the other sadhanas, let it be japam, dhyana or bhajan, all, Swami himself says, they cause what is called mano nigraha, quietening of the mind. But it is only seva which can expand the individualized, limited consciousness in us. Because as you can understand, when you are trying to relieve the pain of an individual, your individualized consciousness has reached out to him. You are able to feel his pain, empathy, what we call. So when the pain gets relieved, happiness comes in him. So in all other sadhanas, the happiness which we get is by virtue of that sadhana, like the japam you do or the bhajan which you sing. But in seva, the happiness in you comes because he is happy. So two in one situation, it's a win-win situation. So that itself shows that the individualized consciousness has expanded. And that is the aim of sadhana. Because the bane of our living, the original sin which is mentioned, is nothing but consciousness having got entrapped in what we call this body, limited, individualized consciousness. So the aim of spirituality is actually to expand this consciousness. This is what seva does. But by itself, we can't do it beyond a certain extent. When we are relentless in our seva, when it is a sustained seva done with purity, without ego developing, a phenomenon called divine grace sets in. This is mentioned in our scriptures. Bhajan also has mentioned it. The situation, what happens, is actually explained by a simple example. You can imagine an empty, closed mud pot. These mud pots, as you know, are sold in India. People store water in it in summer so that the water becomes cool. As you know, the space inside that empty pot can never unite with the space outside. It can, by itself, cannot do that. This is the same thing of a sadhak who is also doing seva. But when he has done it relentlessly, a phenomenon called divine grace sets in. What happens is, if somebody comes and taps that empty pot, what happens? The pot breaks and the space in it unites with the space outside. This is what happens. The individualized consciousness merges with the universal consciousness. This is what is called the union of Jivatma with the Paramatma. The individual has merged into the universal. And that is said to confer a lasting, eternal peace and happiness. Nothing else in this dual world, whatever may be your attainments, your achievements, nothing else can confer this. It is only when the individualized consciousness merges with the universal consciousness, we reach a state, there is nothing outside, it's all being, as Swami says, Sat Chit Anand. Anyway, we are not really going to much philosophy, I'm not really aware of it also. This is something which came out to the heart, but this sort of an understanding is required. It emphasizes the fact that we need to put seva in the priority list of our sadhana. It's not that we should not do the other sadhanas, they are required to quieten the mind, but at the same time, realize the uniqueness of this particular spiritual exercise which we are causing seva. And not only that, it points out the fact that we have to be relentless, sustained. Swami says, oka pichi kalagali. He says, ee jeevitam andariki oka pichi undali. Kontamandiki dabbu pichi untundi. He says, wealth, kontamandiki chadu pichi untundi, research pichi untundi. Kani annitikana manchi pichi, Swami said, is daiva pichi. So all our seva, all our sadhana is to make ourselves worthy enough for that phenomenon of divine grace to set in. I think outlining this ultimate importance and aspect of seva, I felt is necessary when we are all serious sadhaks, devotees of Bhagavan Baba, who have taken seva, spirituality, as a way of life. We come to the next heading, wherein we thought we'll try to see what is the principle that underlies the act of doing seva in our Sai Seva organization. We are now moving on to the actuals, really speaking, of this particular subject of seva. As I said, seva in our organization, even though Swami named it as Sai Seva organization, it doesn't mean it is done with the intention of improving the socio-economic status of the people around us or these mega projects, whatever you call it. No. Again, to reiterate, it is done more for our own spiritual evolution, but at the same time, the spillover effects of it should benefit the society. If the society is getting benefited, it means then we are quite serious, we are quite good in the service which we are doing. Seva is done to assert the fact that God is not just transcendental. He is immanent. He is present in every being in this creation. And the best way to worship Him is to serve our own fellow beings. And importantly, the seva in our organization, in the way Bhagavan has taught us, has to be by default combined with the name of God, Namasmarana. As you all know, Namasmarana, taking God's name itself, was thought to be enough in this Kali Yuga. That is why the Mahamantra Kirtan, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, was said to be enough in this Kali Yuga. But when an avatar comes, he reviews the situation and he may come up with what I would call a revised prescription. And that is why Swami has given us the twofold spiritual prescription of Namasmarana on the one side and Niswartha Seva or service on the other side. As he says, the two wings of the spiritual bird. But the emphasis definitely has to be on Seva. And when it comes to Namasmarana, the power of the name of God, I am always fascinated by one incident. It's not a story, which I read in my books in history in my childhood. I don't know whether in India also it is now finds a place. This is of Sant Kabir Das. And this incident happened not somewhere during Ramayana or Mahabharata time, 300, 400 years back. You know, Sant Kabir Das had a very unique boon conferred by God. Any patient with leprosy, Sant Kabir would put his hand and say Ram, and the disease would vanish, it seems. It was written in our books. It's not some sort of a story. And once when Kabir was not there at home, his son Kamal, a very noble child, was there. A leper comes and knocks the door. Kamal opens the door. He feels bad, his father is not there. And then he thinks over, he feels that let me do what my dad does. Makes him sit down and puts his hand and says Ram, Ram, Ram 3 times. And when he opens his eyes, he finds the disease has vanished. So Kamal is excited. When his father comes, he jumps around. He says, Dad, I did a wonderful thing today. You were not there, a leper came. I put my hand on his hand and said 3 times, Ram, the disease vanished. And you know what Sant Kabir did? He did not hug his son or lift him or pat him, no. He hit him hard on his cheeks. So Kamal was surprised. Dad, why are you punishing me? I have done such a good act. And Kamal says, believe me, I become a little emotional when I tell the story because I would have shared this in at least 500 to 800 villages of around Puttaparthi. And villages who are so rustic and they get tears in their eyes. What Kabir told his son was, I tell it in Telugu, I'll first repeat it. I'll tell in Telugu if you of you knew. Hey pichi vedava, ఒక కుష్ఠరోగం పోవాలంటే 3 సార్లు చెప్తావారా రామనామము, ఒక్కసారి చెప్తే చాలు. He says, for a disease like leprosy to go, do you waste God's name thrice? Do you have to chant it 3 times? You have to chant it only once. That is the power of the name. But when we are engaged in seva, Bhagavan gave a beautiful analogy. He said, do you know, I come for darshan in the morning and sit for half an hour for bhajan in the morning, half an hour for bhajan in the evening. Remaining 23 hours, I am engaged in seva. So the equation for all our centers is also like this. The emphasis on seva has to be so strong. The third heading we thought was, we'll see what are the requisites, the qualifications which we need to have to do seva in the way Bhagavan has told us. It doesn't mean to start with itself we have all the qualifications, but ideally speaking. And these are by experience from my heart, 5, and it stands for Bhagavan's Abhayhastam, I feel always. First is Arogya, health. Second is Prarthana, prayer always. Third, Tapana, yearning in us. Fourth, Tyagam, sacrifice. And fifth, Prema. Seva itself is Prema, but why I am putting that heading, I'll tell you. The first fundamental requirement for seva, or for that matter, be it material life or if we divide life itself as spiritual or material, by default we need to have a sound and robust health. And even though I am a doctor, I realized its value. When there was a phase, there was a setback to my health. And unfortunately, the importance and value of health is not realized till it is lost. And you'll be amazed to know that Sri Adi Shankaracharya, the proponent of Vedanta, who declared that there is no world, actually it's a creation of the mind. But when he was asked, Swami, which is the greatest asset for man in his journey, both in material and spiritual life, he did not say Vairagya, dispassion, Viveka, intelligence. No, he said Arogya. And the best definition of health, which I would like to share with you all, is what our Bhagavan himself has given. In one interview, in the course of the interview, Swami asked us, health ante emiti, define health. So we as doctors started off the World Health Organization standard definition we have. Health is a state of complete physical well. Swami stopped us, called nature. He said, I will tell you. And he said, which only God can say, I felt that moment, and even now I think so it is. He said, Adhyatmikaniki Adharamu Arogyam. The basis of spirituality is health. And Swami said, E Arogyamu Aidu Vishyalupai Adharbadi. Health is based on 5 fundamental requirements. He said, Ahara, the food we eat, Vihara, where all we go, and even the exercise, the physical exercise which we do. Achara, our conduct in the society. Uchara, the way we talk. And he said, Vichara, your thoughts. And then he said, Iverendu, these 2, Ahara and Vichara. The food we eat and our thoughts. These are the most important. And right at this minute, medical science has emphatically declared that the 2 types of health, which are very important, fundamental, critical, vital, crucial, are what it calls metabolic health, which again is related to ahara, and mental health. In fact, the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMHANS in India, has even proved by its studies that the function of the most important endocrine gland in the body, in the human body, called hypothalamus, is dependent on our thoughts. Disordered thoughts lead to hypothalamic irregularity in its function. And there is an axis. If hypothalamus gets deranged, the adrenal cortex producing cortisol, steroids, what we call, that gets disturbed. And it is now well proved that it is steroids, by virtue of their immunosuppressive action, are the causative factor for even mitogenic activity, or what we call cancer. So Swami's definition of health is perhaps the most comprehensive, and that emphasizes the fact that the first requirement for us, even if we are serious spiritual seekers, is health, arogya. Second is prarthana. Yes, Swami said, Seva does not come on a platter. In fact, he was asked, Swami, if Namasmarana, taking God's name, Rama Rama, itself is enough in this Kali Yuga, they say, why is it not many people just take up Rama Rama and then get emancipated? Swami said, ఆ నామాన్ని తీసుకోవాలంటే కూడా నా అనుగ్రహం ఉండాలి. Even to take God's name, if today we have chanted Mrityunjay Mantram or Gayatri or Sai Gayatri, it is only because of His grace we could do. So for Seva especially, all the more, we need to pray hard to Him. It should be a whole soul, it should come from the depth of our hearts. It's not enough if it comes from. And do you know what Swami has said? It was there in our Swami's literature, that in this avatar, if somebody comes to me and makes a prayer for Seva, for doing selfless service, I, in discharge of my duty in this avatar, grant Seva to that yogi. Swami calls the seeker, the sadhak, yogi even before he has initiated. It means Swami is so fond of Seva. And once to one youth group, I was not there in that interview, he said, see, Shiva avataramlo, as Lord Shiva, Abhishekam cheste nenu anni varalu ichevadni. If somebody does Abhishekam to the linga, he gives all. Kani ippudu meer sevelu chesi nannu weak chesestarra, anni varalu ichestaru. He said, if you do seva, I become weak. I give off everything of mine to you. So at any point of time, please remember, we need to pray. In fact, my friend, dear friend, Mr. Rommel, my mentor, when he came to our 18th anniversary celebration, which Madam was mentioning, he said, every day sit in front of the photo of Swami and cry. You should have tears in your eye. Pray to him, Swami, please give me Seva, please give me Seva. Because that is the royal road to the very purpose for which we have come. And in fact, Swami himself says, Paropakaram idam shariram. This human body itself we are born to do Seva only. The third requirement, which I outlined, is tapana or yearning. This again, there's a subtle difference between prayer and yearning. Yearning is something where you are mad about it. And we need to be. As I said, there are two words which I often mention in our Samitis meeting and all. We normally participate in activities. It means part, only part of our personality, whereas God is whole. So participation by itself is not enough. It has to be wholesome and involvement. You are in that whole. That sort of a yearning should be there in all of us. And as you know, in this busy life, we have constraints of especially time, which I'm sure all of us will agree. Our professions, our family life, children, so many things. But do you know what our Bhagan told in one interview? When one young man told Swami, Swami, I want to do service, I want to help others, but I am in a software job, Swami. Time ledu, Swami, I don't have time. And do you know what Bhagavan said? Certain things I'll tell in Telugu and translate, because what Bhagavan actually. Idi utti maatalu, he said, ikkada nunchi vastundi. It is coming from here. Ikkada nunchi kaadu. Utti maatalu, he said. These are only words. We are not serious. He said, nu nijanga baadapadawa? Did you really feel bad? Nenu seva cheyalekapothunnanu. Nu nijanga tapana paddawa? Did you really yearn for it? That I want to do Swami Seva, but I am not having time. Nu na photo eduruga kurchoni edchava? He asked. Did you cry in front of my photo and say, Swami, I am not able to do? Nu adi cheyaledu. He said, you did not do that. Nu adi chesi unte nenu neeku samayam kaligichevadni. He said, if you had done that, I would have created time for you. Nenu kalatitudni. He lifted his hand. I am the overlord of time and space. So the lesson is so strong for each one of us. that if really we are serious, if really we are sincere, we have to be, because that is the purpose for which we have taken this human birth. We have to yearn, yearn, yearn. Pray, pray, pray. He will create. I am telling you, He will create. You yourself will be silent. Swami said, మీరే ఆశ్చర్యపడిపోతారు. నేను నా ఇంటి పని చేసుకుంటున్నాను, ఆఫీస్ వర్క్ చేస్తున్నాను, సేవ చేసేదానికి కూడా నాకు ఇంకా సమయం ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చింది? He said, I'm able to do my office work, I'm able to take care of my children, still I have such enough time to do seva. So this yearning, I would rate it as perhaps the most important factor, and which Swami also said, as he said before, a pichi kalgali, that madness. I know here in this country, I can understand the laws of the land, so many constraints are there. But still, I'm so sure if we pray, and do you know, Swami had once mentioned to M.S. Subbulakshmi, the noted Carnatic exponent, Carnatic music exponent, her very close relative, one Dr. Ashwin, a dental surgeon, is my friend. He told me, when M.S. Subbulakshmi had been to Bangalore, Swami was very upset with her. He said, you're spoiled your voice. You take rest for 1 month, you're not going to move from here in Vrindavan, ashram, along with her husband, Sadasivam. You stay put. And one day, Swami visited that room. She got a bit nervous and she said, Swami, this room is so beautiful. Photos are all around here. Swami. Then Swami said, your photo? Whose photo? Swami, your photo, no, Swami. Photo kaadu, adi nenu. So in this avatar, the photo is not in the normally understood meaning of the word. It is Swami himself. And we all know, Swami proves it. Vibhuti comes out, Kumkumam comes out. Have we heard of any other god in the past? That itself shows. Photo is Swami verily himself. And that is why Swami has said, ఎవరైనా నా ఫోటో కూడా ఒక్కసారి చూస్తే, if somebody has seen my photo even once, వాళ్ళ జీవితం ధన్యమైపోయింది. Their lives have got sanctified. So, again I would emphasize the importance of our yearning for seva, the prayer for seva. Fourth requirement we thought is tyaga, or sacrifice. As you know, sacrifice is the essence of seva again. We have to sacrifice, and that is why Swami has given that beautiful formula when he said, God first, world next, self last. But often we put it in the reverse order. Self first, world next, God last. I'm just saying, even I am in that category. None of this, please imagine that I am in that meaning. Already the reached state. No, I'm also a sadhak, like any one of you, each one of you. So sacrifice is the most important requirement. So again, this sacrifice is something which we get confused, because suppose we are caught, my child's exam is there, or my parents are not well, we have some service activity, what to do? When once I asked Swami about this, Swami said, Chudu, I have given you 3 senses. Common sense at the mind level, intelligence at the intellect level, and conscience at the soul level. Use these 3 senses. Eppudu Swami, Swami, Swami and adagaku. So it means that we are evolved, rational human beings. Like once I remember, my daughter Satya Sai told me, Dad, you please don't go for village service. My exam is there. As a father, it's your duty. You have to be exam. So I was confused. I rang up my friend Mr. Romel. I know he has been my mentor, everything. Romel sir said, see, it is only an exam. If suppose your child is sick, you're a doctor, you have to be there. You're the first doctor for your child. So you said, you tell her, Swami himself has said, when you go out for seva, I will come and be in your house. I will take care of your house. So you tell her, if I remain, I will be there with her, but if I go away, Swami will be with you. So this was the answer. So this emphasizes the fact that when we talk of sacrifice for the sake of a larger good, Samaja Seva as we call, we really need to exercise our common sense, our intelligence, and also our conscience. Place ourselves in the position of the individual who is suffering and look out. So anyway, this is a sort of a broad guideline. And finally, as I said, the fifth requirement which I realized in Seva is prema or love. As we thought, we said initially that Seva is nothing but love in expression. So when we are doing Seva, by default, love is there. No. Swami clarified this because it was a doctor's group. Swami said, Meeru Seva chestarani chestaru, kani prema ledu. He said the love in you should effuse out, should exude out. It should be expressive. It should, like if a mother loves a child, she just doesn't lift the child. She feeds the child, she even hugs the child, she kisses the child. So Swami said, Meeru doctorlu, castor oil face you keep and you write the prescription, think you are doing. He said, no, greet the patient, hold the patient by his hand, hold him by his chin, pat him, call him by his name. In India, especially patients, what I do when the outpatient slip comes, at the corner of my eye, I see the name of the patient. And then I start talking to him using his name. He feels a sense of closeness. So, and then Swami says, when reports come normal, investigations, lab reports, you doctors stop talking, you don't tell them anything. He said, you congratulate the patient, tell him all your reports are normal. Your hemoglobin is 13 grams, very good. Your blood sugar is absolutely normal. So it ultimately means that though Seva by default is prema or love, still it has to be expressed out. You know, in India, especially in the place where I was, Begumpet, we used to do, and even now it's being done, a very innovative type of Narayana Seva. Normally Narayana Seva, even in our country, people used to, the organization, youngsters like them, used to collect food packets from different devotees' houses and go to a common place, and there are some places where they distribute. But we thought we'll do just as Bhajan we all do together. Swami also said, Samuhikanga, if you do as a group, the spiritual benefits which accrue to each individual gets multiplied. In fact, in Bhajan, our Radio Sahib, one student was telling me, Swami told them once it seems, if 50 of you are sitting and singing, even if one of you sings for me with the deepest devotion, na anugraham untundi. Kani na anugraham andaryaviki. So any seva done in that group form is actually much, much beneficial. So we also used to do Narayana Seva the way. We created sections, different sections, and thereby ensured that many people get the opportunity also. So I once called up again my friend Mr. Rommel and asked him, sir, Narayana Seva we are doing, but everybody is busy in the process of, filling up the bowls with food, serving it and all. Nobody is even looking properly at the Narayanas, what we call them Narayanas. Sir, I feel that when we serve them, we should make them feel special. We should ask them, Uppu serigunda, Deepi serigunda, Karam ekkuvaipinda, time ayipindi, we are sorry, we delayed it. And keep an eye on the water, whether it's the well. In fact, for Narayana Seva, I cannot dilate much because we don't have time. Swami even told us what all food items, where it should be kept. In India, as you know, it's served on a leaf. So where all which items should be kept. So I said, Mr. Rommel, I think ideally at least a few of us should do this seva of really interacting with them, making them feel that they are Lord Narayanas. Like Swami never calls it Annadana, as you know. He says it is Narayana Seva. You are expressing your gratitude to Lord Narayana, by whose grace the rainfall has occurred, the seeds have all sprouted out, and you are having your food, so many. So, when I told him, Mr. Roman said, yes, that is the ideal way. But then he reminded me, you should not lecture. Show it by your example. You do it, maybe a few will catch up with you. So what I try to emphasize is whatever seva we do, let the love in us effuse out, so that the people whom we are serving, the lamp of love gets lighted in our heart by us, and thereby both of us we glow to our Lord's satisfaction. The fourth heading, I think this will be the last, is how do we go about the seva and what are the different types of seva? Again, this service, selfless service, what we are calling, can be done at the individual level, at the family level, and as we said, at the community level. And each one has its role and its importance, and it has to be done consciously. At the individual level, seva is more an attitude. It need not be an act. An attitude of always trying to be helpful, always looking out with eyes wide open, the avenues, the opportunities for seva. Because once I said, one very elderly Sai devotee who came back from abroad, he told Swami in darshan, Swami, I have now resigned or maybe retired from all my overseas, I have come here, please give me seva. Then Swami told him, seva ivvobadadu, seva ni vetukkovali. Seva is not just given like that. You also have to search out for it. So at the individual level, let us be at any stage of life. Even if we have grown old, we should look out every minute for opportunities, for avenues to serve. And not only that, Swami has again and again emphasized, as you all know, especially in the later part of his Avtaric mission, that my life is my message, he used to say, and then later he said, your lives have to be my message. So wherever we are placed in the society, especially the jobs in which we are engaged, especially if it is a public dealing, Swami always used to say, na nama nikadu, not my name, don't do publicity of my name, na tattvami, my ideals you have to exemplify. So he once told us, when you go for village service, akkada especially in a new place, don't take my name. We used to do seva continuously for 2 days, different types of activities, veterinary camp, medical camp, school health service, tree plantation, whitewashing places of worship, so many, a big team. So then Swami said, Meera rendu rojulu etla seva cheyalante, you should do it in such a way that at the end of 2 days, the villagers there, the people there should wonder, Intaki villevaru, who are these people who have come all the way, they are doing seva in the village. And one service which by default, as Bhagwan's devotees, Swami expects us to do, and he says it is Saikwana, it's mandatory, is service to our parents. Swami was not only very fond, but he was very particular of it. And in one interview when I told Swami, Swami, తల్లిదండ్రులను వీలైనంత వరకు బాగా చూసుకుంటున్నాను, ఐఎమ్ టేకింగ్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ పేరెంట్స్, బట్ ఆశీర్వదించండి స్వామి, బ్లెస్ దెమ్. దెన్ స్వామి సెడ్, తప్పక, కానీ తల్లిదండ్రులను మనం ఎందుకు బాగా చూసుకోవాలి? హి ఆస్క్డ్, వై షుడ్ వి టేక్ కేర్, గుడ్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ పేరెంట్స్? దెన్ హి సెడ్, వాళ్ళే కదా మనకు ఫుడ్, దే ఆర్ ద వన్స్ హూ గివ్ యూ ఫుడ్. ఆ ఫుడ్తోనే మీరు డాక్టర్లు, మీకు తెలుసు బ్లడ్ గెట్స్, ద ఫుడ్ ఇస్ ద సోర్స్ ఆఫ్ preparation of manufacture of erythrocytes in the bone marrow, blood. ఇవి రెండు కలిస్తే మన ఆలోచనలు కూడా హెడ్, ఫుడ్, బ్లడ్, హెడ్. అండ్ ఈ ఆలోచనల వల్ల మీకు సంపాదన శక్తి, ఎర్నింగ్ కెపాసిటీ, దుడ్డు, ఫుడ్, హెడ్, బ్లడ్, దుడ్డు అన్ని పేరెంట్స్ ఇస్తున్నారు కదా. అందుకే వాళ్ళు పేరెంట్స్ కాదు, పే రెంట్, పే యువర్ రెంట్, యు ఆర్ లైక్ ఎ టెనెంట్, యు ఆర్ ఎటర్నలీ indebted to them. So Swami was very fond of parental seva. So at the individual level, we need to really keep in mind this important requirement. I know there may be some practical difficulties, geographical locations and all, but still that should be the ideal within us. The next level of service we can do is as a family. As you know, family is the fundamental or the unit in any society. You know, the society is built on families. So So service done at the family level is also important. All the members of the family should more or less be in the same wavelength. It is just like Lord Krishna's Ratham, chariot had 5 horses, but all the wraiths were in him. So all the members, as far as possible, should be on the same wavelength. But if it is not so, I think not by lecturing or counseling and all, by our own exemplary attitude of love and seva, we should be able to also bring them. It is very important, and interestingly, because this is a center, Satya Sai Center, I would like to share one type of seva we used to do during the birthday celebrations of Bhagwan. As you know, when Swami was there physically, even now, say the 70th birthday, we used to do 70 bhajans, 70 Nagar Sankirtans, each day, starting from a Suprabhatam from a particular house, going in the lanes and by lanes, coming back to the same house and taking Aarti for Swami. So this was being done. So somehow I felt that Swami has emphasized a combination of Namasmarana and Seva. Why should we not have exclusive? But then 70 days doing would be very difficult. So what we decided was, we will do a family level Seva. That is the family, the house in which that day's Bhajan or Nagar Sankirtan is there, starting from there. All the members of the family will combine that day, and then we made a list of sevas which they can do. And these are small services, like going to a temple. In India, a temple outside you find a number of people, Narayanas. Swami said never call them beggars. So they all, we used to tell them, make some special dish, not the routine dish. Swami, even in Narayana Seva book, I think all of us should keep it with us. It's like Bible for us. In Narayana Seva, Swami says, give them the best of dishes, which they never taste in their life. So we used to tell them, sit with the Narayanas there and give them the best food. Or in the temple, you can have a board and write everyday thought for the day, saying of Ramana Maharshi or Bhagwan or any of these saints. Or give them the temples have bells or a shoe stand. So we made some 70 different types of small sevas which can be identified by each family. So at the end of 70 days, what we did, we made out a good letter telling Swami 70 Nagar Sankirtans, 70 bhajans and 70 small acts of seva we have done, and we are placing it at your lotus feet. And Swami, as you know, in one interview, when one youngster asked Swami, Swami, can you please tell us which is the single factor? You have summarized the essence of spirituality by saying love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. Such brief words you have put it. The essence of spirituality is all the Ramanama, as they say, Vedas. Kindly tell us, Swami, in very simple terms, what is the success, the factor which determines the success of the service which is done like by a center like this. Swami shot back immediately, he's Satya Swarupa, he's like a bullet. He said, purity of the leader, unity of the group. So when we do in a unified fashion, united way, Swami feels very happy, because as we just now spoke, any spiritual exercise done in a samuhika way, as Swami says, in a group way, always has immense benefits. So anyway, this is some sevas which we can do at the family level. And the most important is the group level or the community level or the organizational level. And believe me, my dear friends, with all sincerity, I can tell you, Satya Sai Seva organization is the only organization through which we should all, having come to know Swami, do it. There is a very special reason for it. It's not that we are a cult-like, or I'm trying to sort of be radical in my leader, no. Because Swami gave a beautiful example, a beautiful explanation. He said, if you do seva in Satya Sai Seva organization, it may be a small service, just standing at the door and greeting people, facilitating people going in, going out. And Swami said, of course, that scarf which we have. He said, remember, this is a seva which the Paramatma, the Supreme Physician, decided it is appropriate, apt for that patient, for that jiva, for that sadhak. Whereas you may be doing the best of services. At that time, Bosnia, Ethiopia were all in war. Swami said, you may be doing the best of service there, but still that cannot be equal to this. Because that is a seva which the Jivatma decided it is good for it, and the patient himself decides the treatment. So, the Satya Sai Seva organization is perhaps the only one which has been founded by God himself when he took a human form, and hence all of us let us concentrate when we do as a group. It is not that we should not do through other, but still I am talking of ideal situations. And secondly, when we do seva in a group, the onus is on the organizers, the Samiti head, the Samiti president, to create as many avenues as possible so that more and more number of people can join, new people come. It should not become a monotonous, repetitive seva act. We have to innovate. That is why Swami used to say, I've given you common sense, intelligence, conscience. Go on planning, go on praying, go on earning, go on writing. And I'm sorry, I'll come back to it. I need to emphasize that when we talked of prayer in seva, one way of praying to Bhagavan is by writing a letter. And which Swami once said, Chala mandi na deggara unna vallake teliyadu. You have to write. And he said, why you should write is, when you write and pray, your thought, word, action, manasa, vacha, karmana, all the three go to him. Whereas when you pray, it is only your thought which is going to him. And Swami said, even Rukmini, the highest devotee, when she was about to be abducted by Shishupala in Mahabharata, we have read, she wrote a letter and sent it through her assistant to Lord Krishna. And Swami asked, Rukmini kanna me bhakti ekvana. So that emphasizes the importance, especially all the organizers. Please, for any service activity, Bhagavan is eternal, Bhagavan is in his photo. Please write a letter. I would humbly share that even before I came to this talk today, I wrote a letter to Swami, and the letter was, Swami, Houston Center devotees are yearning for you to come. Please come there, Swami. Please give them your darshan, sparshan and sambhashan. And in the process, use me as a small instrument. So, letter writing, prayer, please. And Swami once said, to your mother, don't you write anything? Even your silly problem. Swami, I'm having a headache, write it. You need not post it or do anything. Swami said, the moment you put your pen on the letter, you are in touch with my cosmic consciousness and my cosmic energy, and my grace flows. You are posting it or, faxing it, all that is second. And my friend Roman, when he was in a very critical situation, he is an Indian Foreign Service officer. He was ambassador at that time. So many countries he was ambassador. In one country, when the Prime Minister had come and he was in a very tight situation, he was desperate. And it was a question of the PM. So he wrote on his thigh, Swami, I am in deep trouble, please intrude. And very miraculously, to tell that incident, it will take time, I will not mention. So wherever you are placed, please, if you are in a critical situation, write to Swami. Thought, word, action, all the three have to be synchronously placed at his lotus feet for his blessings to flow. So anyway, I think we were talking at the importance of the organizers, the heads creating many avenues. And to this also Swami gave a beautiful explanation. He said, once, Lord Rama could have killed Ravana wherever he was, Ravana, with a single arrow. A single arrow he could have hit. But he didn't do that. He played a divine drama. He took everybody with him. He took so-called monkeys, vanaras, apes, jambavan, human beings, everybody with him, to the extent even a squirrel had its role to play. And in fact, it is the squirrel which the Lord patted. So again, there comes the question of the quantum of seva, when we were saying that in seva it is not how much you do, but with what bhav, what motive, what purity, what love with which you do, that matters. But here again, Swami once clarified, Mirandaru Urta Seva, you talk of squirrel service, and you say, I will also do a squirrel service. Swami will be happy with it. Then Swami asked, Miru Yenugulaga Balam Petkoni, you have the strength of an elephant. and you say you will do service like a squirrel, you may be able to fool yourself, but you cannot fool me. So the message is, if our center, or each one of us, if we have more talent, more resources, more capacity, our sevas also should be magnified. It doesn't mean we should rest content. You know, it's a question of what Swami said, common sense, intelligence, and conscience. But centers should always, always, always go on thinking, innovation, youngsters especially, you know, they should be involved, their ideas, and then come out with something new. Stagnation, as you know, is verily death for any organization. Even in the mobile hospital, I say, if 2008 we were like this, 2009 Swami should be able to see, we ourselves should be able to see some change, some difference. And then the next thing is the seva which we do should be a model for the society. It should not be something which everybody does, you know, distributing something, you know. No, it should stand out distinctly. Like those days in Hyderabad, in India, in summer we used to do a small activity called drinking water camp. You know, it's to serve chilled water to, you know, people who are moving about in hot sun. The temperature, as you know, soars to 44 degrees or 45 degrees and all. So at that time, we thought, how are we going to make it look a Sai drinking seva center? Something special it should look like. So, you know, we started first with thatched sort of bamboos we made. Then, you know, steel frames. To the inside of the steel frames, we have some sort of curtains made up of a particular type of fiber. If you water it, it becomes cool. Then all the vessels were steel, clean, and people who are, you know, always smiling, give it. And two youngsters, we used to stand outside, and it was an elevated road, so we have what's called rickshaws there, where people, you know, pedal and take passengers. So if it is, you know, if the rickshaw puller, he feels that he cannot stop, and so these two youngsters used to be there, and when the rickshaw comes, stop him, hold the rickshaw with his hand, give him a glass, and then the other used to serve. So, you know, in anything we do, there should be something distinct, something which is innovative. And finally, when we do as a group seva, it should be need-based. Swami always was very insistent. Like in our own place, we have a school for the blind. We don't call it blind school. You know, in this school, there are about 150 to 200 children who are blind, left over by their parents. They take very good care. So people used to come every day, somebody's birthday, it would be written on the board, you know, somebody's birthday, and children were fed sumptuously. So one day we asked the children, what is it, children, which will make you happy? So they said, every day you are being given sweet, this and all birthday. They said, no sir, in fact we are fed up with it. We are having diarrhea, loose motions, and we are already blind. You know, it's so difficult, and even the caretakers used to find it. They told us, sir, you please take us somewhere, some open land. Because here if we have to walk in our school, we are so careful. They form a row. The one who has a little vision, you know, he is usually the front, and they all hold and they walk, so that we don't hit a pillar or a wall or anything. So take us to some place, sir, where we can just run and run. So we thought we'll take them to an open park, Sanjeeva Park. We have a very big park there. And there, you know, when the children came, our Bharvikas children received them with Veda Gosti, Veda Patnam, you know, make the show still more lively. And then we made them, served them a little breakfast, and then made them stand all the big, it's a very huge park. And then we said, now we'll say 1, 2, 3, and you can run. And believe me, they ran and ran and ran till they were panting. So the message is, the seva which we do should be need-based. Swami was very particular. And this is where medical seva excels. There is a need for medical service everywhere in the world. Of course, the laws of the land you have to be there. Even that's why Swami, his hospital is not meant only for the poor, even for the rich. Even the rich, as you know, in medical field has become now so difficult with so many specialties, subspecialties and all. People, when they fall sick, they may have everything, the money, the connections and all, but they don't know to which doctor they have to go. So this sort of a guidance which is required. You know, so a seva like medical seva is somewhat universal, but still the type of seva which you do has to be need-based. And regarding the types of seva, which was the last heading I told, I will not try to enumerate it because, as you know, it depends on the situation here. You have to customize it. But luckily, I really never wanted to write a book, but during COVID time, the mobile hospital was not functioning. I was only head of the other hospital. So I had some free time, and with my memory, I just wrote down, and that is the book, Sai Seva. And our Satya Sai Trust liked it very much because they said we have a number of books on so many topics of philosophy or miracles of Swami and all. But this is something practical. So each activity which we do, starting from even Bhajan, Nagar Sankirtan, Narayana Seva, senior citizen Seva. Senior citizens, their children are away in US, like in India. Children are away or they don't have children. They feel so, how to sort of cheer them up, enthuse them, make them feel happy. So many different types of it. And then in India, in the cold, biting cold, there are, as you know, here, shelterless people. There also they'll be, so early morning, 3 a.m. we used to go and distribute warm clothing to them. So the different types of seva, and then medical services which we did there in terms of static camps, outreach services. And then after Bhagan called me in 2004 to Guntapalli, he said, you leave your job and come. So the mobile hospital which we started, I have detailed in that book, and I brought some copies. I request Mr. Nagarajan to distribute them to whoever you feel it is appropriate. So anyway, the final question, the final point which I would like to address is, after all, we are rational human beings. We think so. I have my economist friend here. You all do what's called a cost-benefit assessment. So if I do seva, what will I get? It's quite natural. Even the thought that I should get emancipated or my individualized consciousness should merge with the universal, even that is a desire, isn't it, after all? So what is the result of seva, which we do, especially, as I said, under the banner of Sri Satya Sai Seva organization, where the ideology, the methodology, the source, force, everything is Bhagavan's. Firstly, Swami has said, if you do seva, I'll save you, he said once. I'll save you from so many critical sort of positions, situations in which we may find ourselves. And I'm also reminded of what Shirdi Baba had told. He said, जो दूसरों का आंख का बूंद निकाल देगा, उसका आंख का बूंद मैं निकाल दूंगा. Those who wipe the tears of others, the tears which will all definitely come in the eyes of that sevak, I will remove it with my hands. And Swami also said once, if you are busy in my work, I will be busy in your work. So very humorously I would like to bring this out. Somebody asked Swami, it seems, Swami, why this role reversal? You can be busy in your work, we will be busy in your work. Then Swami told, it seems, మీరు మీ పనులు చేస్తే ఒక మంగళోడు మెదడు ఆపరేషన్ చేస్తే ఎలా ఉంటుంది అలా అవుతుంది, he said, it seems. If you do your works by yourself, it will be like a barber doing a neurosurgery. And he said, it seems, ఒక neurosurgeon చేస్తే ఎలా ఉంటుంది అది నేను చేస్తాను. And he told, it seems, ఒక బిల్డింగ్ మీరే మేసన్ని పెట్టి, masons, if you build a building, how will it be? Or if an architect designs it, what will be the difference? So I can vouchsafe that if we do seva in the way of one, I'm so sure that Swami will take care of most of our, and I can testify to this fact with all sincerity and humility. And the last thing which I wanted to say about this Swami taking care of us is, there is a law of karma which says that if you have done something, you have to suffer for it or you have to experience it. And Swami also many a time when people asked him, Swami is blind, why don't you? Swami said, let him go through the suffering when I am there. What happened? I showed him an album of a village service where I said we do a variety of activities, and one activity we did in that village was the village temple did not have a roof slab. So we laid the slab. The villagers also joined us. They put a asbestos sheet extension so that they said we can do bhajan, sit under it. It was a joint effort. And then we painted it all blue and pink, our Prashanti Nilayam colors, and then showed to Swami. Swami looked at it and said, "Idi chesaru bagundi. You have done this, it is good. Kani nijamaina mandiramu, the Manav Sharirame. The real temple is your own body." That's why Swami says the temple of God. Ee mandiraniki meer inka ekku seva cheyandi. Do more services for this temple. And that meant medical service. And Swami once declared, if it was Ramaban in the Treta Yuga, if it was Krishna Chakra in the Dwapara Yuga, in this avatar it is Vidya and Vaidya. And he put out his two arms and said, that is why all my buildings also, hospitals and all are like this. We take the patient also in a loving embrace. So education, and that is why the organization has the educational wing, the service wing, and in the service wing, the emphasis has to be on medical seva. Of course, with the spiritual undercurrent of it, as Swami has often told, we have the spiritual wing. And in this medical seva, as Madam was mentioning, Swami came up with a brilliant idea in the third phase of his medical mission. First, he started super specialty general hospitals for primary and secondary care, then super specialty hospital for tertiary care, and then he said, this is not enough. It is no use only providing, he said it has to be delivered. Such a subtle difference, Swami. And he said, "Na bhaktudu kashtamu unte nene veltanu. When my devotee is in trouble, I myself reach out to him. You doctors are also Vaidyo Narayana Hari. You are embodiments of Narayana. You have to reach out to people." So that's how he started the Satya Sai Mobile Hospital. And it will be interesting for you to know that in 2009 there was a conference arranged by the international doctors in LA, Los Angeles. And when Swami was asked whether the doctor who was coordinating, whether he can take Dr. Safaya, who was the head of the super specialty. Swami said no. Then when the general hospital doctor, there was one Dr. Verma at that time. Swami said, "No, you take the mobile hospital doctor." And he told him, it seems, let that presentation be made even internationally, because it is not only in India that you have this geography of 70% population being in villages who are cut off from the mainstream. Elsewhere in the world also, there are communities which are cut off from the mainstream. And this lesson, this message has to be delivered as to how outreach, quality care, not just, these medical camps as Madam was, no, a complete care can be delivered and should be delivered. I think these are some ideas which you can explore. I don't know how far it will be practical here. But then there's always another way of how you get linked up with the outreach services which are done elsewhere, especially in India. I think if we have time, a few questions I would like to take after that documentary. So you can ask me as to how you can get connected with the services there, especially done, not especially, exclusively done under the banner of Sri Satya Sai Central Trust or the Satya Sai Seva organization. Maybe we can do some minimal brainstorming about it. So anyway, thank you all. I will now, we'll have a 10-minute documentary on the mobile hospital, which is the innovative project of Bhajan, the flagship project of the Satya Sai Central Trust, whose 18th anniversary we had recently, and our ashram's Radio Sai had made the documentary. I thank you all for your patient hearing. I really don't know whether it was customized to your needs or requirements. But in general, I thought Seva being a very broad subject, let us try to focus on the different dimensions, the facets of Seva, and then, show this documentary. Then maybe, if we have time, take a few questions. I especially thank as I told Dr. Kalpalatha, who is a very big name in our medical field. Her accomplishments are really, really mind-boggling. More than that, as I said, Madam is an extraordinary human being, helpful to the core. So thank you all, and thank our dear Master Bhagwan for enabling this satsang to happen. Jai Sai.
Humble pronounce the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. I've been given the opportunity to express gratitude on behalf of all of us. So first and foremost, I'd like to express gratitude to Swami for bringing us Narasimhan Uncle on this auspicious day and infusing us with your joy to service. And we could really tell your passion for serving the community in how many ideas you have, and we really look forward to getting more innovative ideas from you. So thank you, and this is, I always say that gratitude is the memory of the heart, and so we will remember this day, and of course we have a recording to go back and refer to notes as well. But we did enjoy listening to you this morning, and we welcome you once again to the center, and we look forward to seeing Satya and Ishwar here more often. Of course, her coming here was our prayer, like you said. When she came here before, I remember telling her that I'm going to pray to Swami that you come back here. So we welcome both of them into the community, and we look forward to seeing you here very often. And I'd like to once again express my gratitude for your time today. And even though it was impromptu, you came so well prepared to share with us the most important 5 things. And we'll definitely remember that when we put any idea into motion going forward. Sairam.
It's just my experience as such when I being in Swami's school for so long. Seva has always been part of it, but what I personally feel the challenge for me is that I do Seva, but to keep the Bhava of Seva all the time and to remember as to why I'm doing is sometimes that it's always on. So I think it always that puts back. It should not be that I have a problem at home, hence I'm coming and then making Swami happy by doing it. But I constantly want to be in this and to remember always to have the Bhava when we are doing Seva. That is something I have a challenge to keep it on, and to also encourage that into my kids as well. And so if you can share, I know you've been in this for so long, and to be motivated, but to have the Bhava all the time on as to why this is important. If you can share one word, that would definitely help us.
Sai, yeah, basically what you are saying is how to keep up the tempo within ourselves, not to get demotivated and all. Basically that involves first a clarity in the concept as we try to bring it out, that why Seva is done. So maybe that, if you can remind yourselves again and again about it. But as I say, always we are told that Seva is done for our own evolution and not really to be. No, I think when you are working, you should have that small individual ego. I am doing it, let me do it well and all. No, at the end of the day, you offer it at the lotus feet of Swami. And as I said, the denominator for all this has to be prayer, prayer, prayer to Swami. And it really, really works. Really, and he is a talking God, he is a living God. Everything I can both say from experience. So your prayer to Swami, and as Swami clearly told, I have given you those 3 senses. Make judicious use of this. See the situation, and if by common sense you can rationalize saying it's okay. Otherwise, sometimes you may have to think deep. I am placed in this sort of a situation, but I want to do Seva. What should I do? But keep that as the core point of your life. It has to be that way. And that is why Swami said, Parupakaram idam shariram, this body itself. Swami said, even the shape of the body has been designed to do Seva. And as I said, that doesn't mean that we neglect our other duties or our family members. And as I was trying to emphasize, parental Seva, Seva to parents, all these things. So keep on, first be clear about the concept, keep on reminding yourselves, and keep on praying and have that yearning. I think, in fact, many saints have attested to this truth that whatever be your sadhana, it can be even a puja. It is the yearning within you, the madness, which is important. But Swami told us that in this modern yuga, using japa or dhyana as the solo sadhana, as only that, may not be successful because both the attractions and the distractions of Kali Yuga, he said. So that's why that Dil mein Ram, Hath mein Kaam. And as he told you, please practice the act of letter writing. And whenever you have even this doubt which you have, please write it. He is the best who will bring clarity to the whole situation.
Can I ask the question? In today's world, everyone likes to get served. Let me put it this way. So how do you identify which is the rightful seva? And, in your that side, which village needs to be served, which village gets priority. And at the same time here too, when we do some seva, sometimes people when we do, we feel it is not really needed. I mean, we are just doing it just for the sake of doing it. And that kind of gratification doesn't, you do not get. So can you please share that?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to highlight by making the point that our seva should be need-based. It's not what we like to do, but what they really want. And that, as you know, requires a detailed sort of a survey, spend a lot of time in planning.
A lot of planning.
Like when we did village service, we thought we'll take the formula of two. What is the two we thought? Like in Mahabharata, the 5 Pandavas with Lord Krishna, we thought Swami on one side, we Gram Sevaks on the side. Taking some sort of an ideology. So 2 means 2 days of first intense survey of the village. Sit with the villagers, find out their requirements. As I told you, the school for the blind. We ask the children, what will make you happy?
Yeah, okay.
It's not that you decide that you have something in excess, or blankets you have in excess, and you go and distribute. Can be done, that also is okay. But always try to spend a lot of time in identifying the specific requirements there and then tailoring your services. So we used to do 2 days of visit to the village. First sit with the village heads and prominent people, and then next visit we used to tell the village heads to call the entire village audience. Explain to them what we can do, what we cannot do also. Try to make it clear, they raise that. And then 2 days of intense service which I described. Bhajan said, don't take many. And then we used to have 2 weeks of follow-up service. That is, especially medical side where cases require bringing to the city, getting them operated, or some village doesn't have water, you have a bore well done there, or even an ordinary well done there. Follow-up services of 2 weeks. And then 2 months of reciprocal visits. Like we used to invite the villagers. In city we have Ishwaram Day, for example. The programs which are done are by the village children. They are brought and they are lodged in our devotees' houses. So ultimately it means that we need to do a detailed planning, survey. When you are clear and sure about it, you take up the service. Otherwise, as you said, it may not really produce that degree of satisfaction and gratification. And in this, that's what I'm saying, you need to have a core team of 5 members who are deeply devoted, dedicated, and who can give their time also. And the communication between these 5 members should be preferably or even on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. Find yourself again and again, but not too much worry about it. After all, if we got the CNBC award, obviously as director we felt elated. But on the stage I told the deputy chairman of the planning commission, who is equal to a cabinet minister, when he gave the award, he said, "Sir, for us the greatest reward and award was the day when Bhajan gave us this Seva Prasadam." So we have already got the award, but still, with great humility we have accepted. And I'm telling you with great confidence, the more and more you do, a stage comes when you realize you could not have done it. Can you believe a rural outreach service? 18 years it is going on, manned by voluntary doctors, high quality care, and as Dr. Kalpalatha or Dr. Narayan know, in medical parlance, any system of the body, ailments we have classified by experience to 5 or 6 categories: common, chronic, intermediate, asymptomatic, preventive, all that. We are able to address all the 5 categories of it. So at the end of the day, you realize it could not have been possible but for his. So the realization has to come from within. And don't be too conscious that my ego is coming and all. Just be a path on the journey. But as I said, important thing, keep writing. So that is the golden secret. In fact, Swami once, after the interview, he gave me, "Edi chesina cheppi cheyi," he said. And that is why Bhavan, when he used to come out for this, he used to ask for letters. He was also asking for letters. And once, from this distance, he called me, and when I gave a letter, he says, "Rojo ka letter." He himself is calling, asking, and then he says, "Rojo." So always that communication with Swami, in practical terms, writing letter. And all the while, not being too conscious that my ego is getting it. Somebody may say you're something. More you do, the more the realization comes. In fact, the thoughts which I expressed, very humbly I would say, nothing, I have not read any book of philosophy or Atma, Brahma, nothing. It all comes. So you will definitely go to the stage from I to B to he, of course, that final touch, what I said, divine grace, the tapping of the pot has to happen.
I know you're 10 minutes over, if you could just give me 1 minute. And since you talked about the need and the time especially, and you talked about the three intelligence that Swami asked us to lean on, the common sense, the intelligence, and the consciousness. So that's something that I try to practice because we talk about it extensively in Balvikas. So I usually use a filter of, is there a need for doing something, and then do we have the right people to do it like you rightfully said, and also if it's the right time to do it, because sometimes we have to postpone things because it is not the right opportunity to do it. So I'm very humbled by what you shared in the documentary, even though you're giving full credit to the team, and as you said, it's not possible by one person. The sustainability that you said, because any seva, when it is sustainable and there is a change and there is a growth in it, then you're moving in a meaningful direction. So what is some advice that you could give for youngsters, and just to say that how do we recognize that we are picking a sustainable approach for something?
Yeah, that's what I said. First, the clarity of concept, why we are doing seva, that has to be clear both in our minds and hearts, and that can be expressed also. And the second thing, as I said, is accepting the potential, the capabilities of the different members of it. And thirdly, by, as I said, using the three senses. Maybe at the individual level, one thing which prods me again and again that I should not waste my life and seva should be done is, if you look at things like the transience of life, how transient is our own life, how uncertain it is. The next minute we do not, the heart pumps, but next minute it can stop. So when you look at the uncertainty, the transience of things, you should get motivated by yourself that yes, I should not waste my life. And these things, as I said, the core team, we can always share and ensure that when we start a thing, it remains sustained. And that is why praying, yearning, communication, using our three senses, all these, together will ultimately make it a sustained service. But because of any reason which was not in your control, if it has got stopped also, don't worry. Like you can always think of taking up another service. And here Swami says, workers bhavanaru, leaders baledu and season. So the leaders have to be very, very exemplary, very sacrificing, always thinking, planning. For them also, it is both an individual sadhana and for them more also a collective sadhana.
Last question.
No, I just had a question. This is going on for 18 years. Has this system spread to other states, and are there any other NGOs or government agencies doing the same? And is the bus manufactured in India or it's coming from overseas?
Yeah, it is manufactured in India in a place called Belgaum, Starline Industries. There are a number of people who fabricate such buses. So how this has, Swami always said that I have not come to solve the socio-economic problems or the medical problems of the world. I have come to remind mankind of its inherent essential divinity and how to manifest that divinity. In the process, I will create projects which will serve as models. So Swami said, I will make models only. So the replication part, as we use the word replication, what you asked, has been happening in two different ways. Firstly, as you know, Swami's projects are all under the aegis of Sri Satya Sai Central Trust. But there is an organization which has been not founded actually, but blessed by Swami, called the Satya Sai Seva Organization. This is present in all the districts of the country, all the mandals. So they also are taking up this model and doing it. But again, more interestingly, as you saw in the documentary, the government of India, the government of Maharashtra especially, the government of Karnataka especially, have invited us. And the best part of it is we have addressed their issues looking from their side. That is, especially government has difficulty in manpower, getting doctors for rural services different. So that we made a breakthrough point by saying postgraduate students who are in their period of study, they are all MBBS, like basic graduates there. You draft them into service because for them it will be a learning experience. Accountability is great. And you need not pay separate salary for them because already by virtue of being postgraduates, they are getting stipend. So this important issue of the 3 M's, as you know, in management, manpower, material and money, manpower is the most critical and we have addressed it. And I'm glad you asked and I'm happy to say that this message is now percolating down the line in even the echelons of government. Because IAS officers come for some training to our ashram. There's one Institute of Human Excellence. And when they visit the mobile hospital, one day they are taken to the mobile hospital. So many governments have started asking, but the bus is fabricated, made in India only.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Kumar, use the mic.
From here, non-medical, because I know doctors are going and taking part in mobile university also. There are students, undergrads doing summer practice. They want to come there, take classes. What are all the fields?
Yeah, meaning for doctors, as I said, they can always join by writing in advance to us, sending their resume, things like that. Even non-medical people also, there are so many areas like pharmacy is one area, or IT works are there, or even after the service is over for 2 weeks, then there are a number of follow-up works. So you can always get associated and you can write to us specifying what is your qualification, your area of interest. And now, as I said, interestingly, the Satya Sai Seva organization in India, we are revamping the medical services being done by them, by we doctors getting into it and customizing models which are consistent with, in India also we have what's called a Bhajan Mandali, made up of only about 10. We have a Samiti made up of 30, 40. And then a district or city level there is. So we have customized models of medical seva which will match with their expertise, their talents, their capability, resources, all that. So it's going to start in a very big way. And you can get associated, like if you are from the state of Karnataka, you can get in touch with the Karnataka organization. Their different sevas, either it can be, even in monetary terms. Monetary terms, as you know, only is the Satya Sai Central Trust in India, where you can specify it. Or the Satya Sai Seva organization, there is a national president for it, a state president for it. You can get associated by writing to them, but first specifying what are the areas of interest of your work. But again, I would like to more importantly emphasize that back home, and for that, I know the laws of the land, there are so many difficulties for you people here doing, but always, innovating, thinking, praying, learning, yearning, all these, Swami shows us the way. And of course, use our intelligence also. Like always, Swami used to like the deprived sections or people like children, old age people, senior residents, or handicapped individuals. Swami used to say, you identify these deprived sections, people who are, have physically or even the mentally challenged, and then you tailor your service accordingly. Swami used to say.
For the time constraint, we need to bring this wonderful discussion to some conclusion, but I'm sure
And
Dr. Narasimhan.
yeah, and finally I would say you can always communicate with me through my mail ID, and my only work is this. So anytime feel free, I can add to your ideas or I can learn from you. It can be a mutual learning. So even the communication between us, the Satya Sai Center of Houston, like you or whoever, they can keep in constant touch.
What is your email ID?
You'll find out.
I'll share. I have 2 or 3 IDs. I will definitely share. We can keep this link of communication between us and exchange ideas. And I have the huge advantage that it's now more than 30 years. I'm totally into it. It's only Swami's grace as well. And secondly, for about 7 years, I had the distinct advantage, opportunity of being close to Swami physically. And Swami also gives only broad ideas. Like for example, it is said, Vedam cheptundi, jalamlo vidyut undi. Like in water, there is electricity, but Vedam will not tell how to bring it. So Swami, like for example, he told us, మీరు అంత దూరం పోయి మీరు పేషెంట్లని ఇష్టం వచ్చినట్లు you should not treat them as you wish, treat them with dignity and love. So immediately in the mobile hospital, we made 3 levels. First level, what we call reception, when all of them come. So at that level, it's not possible for us to have chairs. So a good tent, a carpet, and some chairs for those who can't sit. From there, we triage them based on their complaints, medical, surgical, orthopedic, ENT. And 10 of them at a time are escorted to the next level, where in a small tent, we put tables for them to sit. The second level, where the registration computerized. Third level is the doctor's cabin. And again, in the doctor's room, we made 2/3 for the doctor, 1/3 chairs. So that these patients feel they have come to a hospital, they are being treated with dignity and love. And he said, don't make them run about here and there. You have gone all the way, now you don't write, say, get an X-ray done, go to Anantapur. So that's how he gave the diagnostic. So we went a step further by deciding that blood tests which we cannot do there, we should not ask them to go to our Puttaparthi hospital and get it. We draw the sample, centrifuge it, we have vacuum tables. So one volunteer will deliver 25 samples. 25 people need not do that. Again, for CT scan, MRI scan, because the portable variants are not available. So we fixed an appointment, just ask them to go on that date, and online we are integrated. It is IT enabled. So in this way, we need to really innovate and think over. Bhagavan will give us broad guidance.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry to bring this to your conclusion for today.
So it can be in communication.
No, yeah,
At any
I'm going to
And Madam is there, Dr. Kalpalatha, who will also facilitate the whole thing.
I'm sure you will be visiting Houston because their daughter and son are here. So
You are
we'll
our
make
trump
every
card.
opportunity to be in communication.
I gave her a Satya Sai.
So with that, thank you very much. It was a wonderful day, wonderful
Yeah, as
morning.
Madam pointed out, I have to mention finally the huge support which my wife and my children have been giving. She's by herself a space engineer in India's Chandrayaan project.
Wow.
She never knew who is Swami. She never objected to my going. And my children, when Radio Sai interviewed them, they said, your father is out for 15 days, it was only mobile hospital. Don't you miss him for festivals like Deepavali and all? Because mobile hospital, even if it is Christmas, Deepavali, Sunday, we are there. They said he more than compensates in the remaining days. So that's a prayer which I made to Swami.
And Mrs. Narasimhan is a senior scientist, very senior scientist in ISRO. So she's,
Madam, you please say few words about it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Thanks. Go that far.
I don't know if the wire is not long enough. Yeah,
Why
we
is
can
not
miss.
that was no.
Actually, before marriage,
If we can just turn it on, yeah.
before marriage, actually I didn't know about Swami. My first introduction was I was taken to Whitefield, Vrindavan by one of my neighbors. I was working in Bangalore at that time. So I just joined it. And her son was studying, I think he was doing his BCom in Whitefield College. So on Sundays she used to visit her son, and she asked myself and my mother to just come to just to see, to visit her son and also have darshan of Swami. So that was my first introduction, and I was sitting in the
where Swami used to give speech and all. So I was in the Swami was there and I was right at the back, I think, literally outside that auditorium, the outskirts there. And myself and my mother and the aunt were sitting there. And I didn't know who was Swami and I couldn't quite relate to what he was saying. It was all new. But what I noticed is that in front of me there were two ladies and they were they were so affectionate and to me I was sitting at the back. So for some reason they said that come Kanna, you sit here. So this kind of a thing which addressed by a third person to us is it was like something very, very new to me. Because usually family members say that, we don't see an outsider say this to a totally unknown person say that. So this was my first introduction, like how Swami is trying to show what he is or what his community is like in this family. So after marriage, also it took me quite a long time to literally feel and experience him. I used to sit in the Bhajan and 23rd of every month we used to have Bhajan at home. So then I used to sit for Bhajan, Aarti and all. I was busy with my children's homework and also that was a priority for me. So I used to come only for the Aarti and it was like that. And though I revere every saint, so like that I used to have reverence for Swami. But otherwise I had no, I didn't get any interview or anything from him. It is just a feeling and an experience, and now it is more and more it is into my system, and it's really his grace.
Yeah, the best part, as the madam was pointing out, when I left my job, my colleagues told me, you lose respect in your wife will not be yours. And if you go empty-handed at the end of a month without any salary and all. But I am telling you, she never told me that you have never brought money back home. Children never told me. And that's a huge support for me. They never cribbed that. We may not have had the best luxuries of the world, like driving in a Mercedes-Benz car and all. More than that, Swami has taken care. And now your center has received this golden boy, Ishwar, who is my son-in-law. He is Swami's student, and I'm sure he and Satya will be great assets to you, your center, in furthering Swami's Avtarik mission, especially in the field of Seva and also Bhajans.
We received both Ishwar and Satya side.
Yes. But I don't know, residency-wise, madam should tell us how hard it will be or how easy it will be. But again, the same formula applies to her. Prayer, tapana, crying in front of Swami. I hope they will do that.
Easy because of this family.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.